The story takes place in a tumultuous setting where a land eviction process is underway and tensions are high. The focus is on Leng Feng and his team, who are soldiers from the renowned Chinese military unit, the Wolf Warriors. Their mission is to deliver the ashes of a deceased soldier to his family, but upon arrival, they face a group of bodyguard thugs who appear to be unhappy with their presence. As the situation escalates, Leng Feng finds himself having to take matters into his own hands. His actions cause a commotion, and the police officers on the scene seem to favor the thugs. In a desperate attempt to protect himself, Leng Feng is left with no choice but to use a stolen gun in self-defense. The thugs try to frame Leng Feng in front of the police officers, but he refuses to back down. Instead, he takes matters into his own hands and teaches them a harsh lesson they won't forget. After the unfortunate incident, Leng Feng faced severe repercussions, including being stripped of his military rank and dismissed from his duties. He was also sentenced to 2 years in prison, which he served diligently. However, 3 years after his release, he was found working as a mercenary on an expedition ship in African waters. During one of his missions, Leng Feng encountered a group of pirates who attempted to hijack the ship he was escorting. In the ensuing chaos, several crew members were killed, and Leng Feng took charge of the security situation. He immediately jumped into action, using his martial arts skills and defense techniques to repel the attackers. Thanks to his bravery and expertise, the piracy was thwarted, and the ship was saved from harm. Ever since his heroic act, Leng Feng has become a well-known figure among the people in the harbor. They often approach him for a photo, and he has even formed a special bond with a young boy named Tundu, who looks up to him like a father figure. One night, during a drinking party with the locals, Leng Feng proved to be a formidable drinker and won a bet. However, as the night wore on and the alcohol took its toll, Leng Feng began to feel dizzy. It was then that he had a vivid vision of his long-lost girlfriend who had been tragically killed 2 years ago while he was serving a mission on the African border. Leng Feng had been imprisoned at the time and was unable to do anything to help her. Leng Feng's love for his deceased girlfriend still lingered, and he held onto a bullet that was rumored to be the one used in her murder. Meanwhile, the African continent was in a state of emergency due to the Lamanla outbreak, which had caused people to lose faith in the government's ability to handle the crisis. A rebel group had emerged, causing chaos and unrest in the region. One day, Leng Feng and Tundu were relaxing on the beach with the locals when they heard rumors of an impending attack by the rebel troops. Suddenly, a fierce battle erupted between the rebels and government soldiers, catching everyone off guard. Leng Feng knew he had to protect Tundu and quickly ushered him into a nearby shop owned by a Celina businessman, which was heavily guarded by army personnel. However, the shop owner was coerced into joining forces with the rebels, adding to the chaos and confusion. As the violence escalated, Leng Feng realized he could not stand idly by and watch the rebels wreak havoc. He decided to join forces with the resistance in their fight against the rebels. The situation was dire, and even a civilian evacuation bus was destroyed in the crossfire. Determined to protect himself and those around him, Leng Feng made his way to the Chinese embassy, a place of relative safety in the chaos. The rebels understood the importance of China's friendship with Africa, and they ceased their attack on the embassy. The Chinese Navy quickly responded to the crisis, sending a fleet to aid in the evacuation efforts. Leng Feng and the remaining Chinese citizens were escorted to the harbor, where they awaited the arrival of the evacuation team. As the evacuation efforts continued, it was discovered that Dr. Chen was still unaccounted for. The ambassador urgently requested that troops be sent to secure him, but even the prime minister himself was unable to guarantee his safety. Meanwhile, Tundu made the difficult decision to stay behind until he could be reunited with his mother. The shop boss revealed that the owner of the bullet Leng Feng had been keeping was a ruthless mercenary fighting on the side of the rebels. He warned Leng Feng not to pursue him any further. As the situation in Africa worsened, the Chinese Navy was hesitant to act without instructions from the United Nations. But Leng Feng saw an opportunity to take matters into his own hands. He volunteered to lead a daring rescue mission to save Dr. Chen, 47 Chinese workers, and Tundu's mother, while also hoping to finally track down his lover's killer. Meanwhile, at the rebel base, a mercenary known as Big Daddy was revealed to be leading the charge to capture Dr. Chen alive. This information came from a prisoner who had been interrogated by Leng Feng and his team. In a hospital, Leng Feng, a former Special Forces soldier, and Rachel, a medical officer, were faced with a group of rebels who were after Dr. Chen. Rachel posed as Dr. Chen to confuse the rebels, while the real Dr. Chen attempted to attack from behind. However, the rebels shot and killed Dr. Chen, making it look like Rachel was responsible. The rebels then tried to punish Rachel, but Leng Feng used all his military training to fend them off. Dr. Chen left behind a woman named Pasha and a will instructing Leng Feng and Rachel to take her away from the hospital. The three of them fled in a car, with Leng Feng taking the wheel. However, the rebels chased them relentlessly, and Leng Feng had to fight them off while driving. The situation became so intense that Leng Feng lost control of the car, and they crashed into a pile of corpses infected with the deadly Lamanla virus. With the help of locals, they were able to continue their journey to their next mission, rescuing workers and Tundu's mother from a factory. When Leng Feng arrived at the factory, he was met with resistance from Zhuo Yifan, the commander of the security team. However, Leng Feng also met a woman named Nessa, who turned out to be Tundu's mother. The factory had decided to prioritize the safety of Chinese citizens, leaving many workers at risk, but Leng Feng was determined to save everyone. Before the evacuation, there was a party held for the workers, but it was interrupted by a group of gunmen and shooting drones sent by Big Daddy. Chaos erupted, and many workers lost their lives. However, Leng Feng and the other veterans, including Zhuo Yifan and He Zhongguo, showed their fighting spirit and stood up against the attackers. The battle intensified as Big Daddy noticed Pasha, and one of his men was sent to capture her. However, Leng Feng and Nessa fought back, and Leng Feng's reputation as the Wolf Warrior was on the line. Big Daddy had no choice but to join the battle and focus all his shots on Leng Feng. As the battle raged on, gunfire was heard from a distance, and Big Daddy's troops had to withdraw abruptly. The rebel commander-in-chief was angry that so many Chinese citizens had become victims, despite the fact that China was a friendly country. Big Daddy's disregard for this resulted in him stabbing the commander in front of all his soldiers. After the intense battle, Leng Feng found himself exposed to Lamanla virus from the corpses he had come into contact with. Despite his heroic service, the factory manager saw him as a danger and expelled him. The following day, the rebels took over the factory and interrogated all the residents about their resistance during the previous night's attack. He Zhongguo, the security expert staff, admitted to being a military veteran who participated in the resistance. As Leng Feng emerged from his dazed state, Rachel was stunned to see the effects of the injection she had given him the previous night. It had succeeded in curing Lamanla, a disease that had plagued him for so long. Rachel went on to explain that Pasha, who the rebels were so keen to get their hands on, was not Dr. Chen's child, but one of many Lamanla patients with unique antibodies in her blood that Dr. Chen had hoped to use to create a vaccine. Rachel's injection was the first successful test of this vaccine and had given Dr. Chen the breakthrough he had been waiting for. This was the reason why the rebels were so desperate to capture both Dr. Chen and Pasha. With them, they could seize power from the government with ease. However, they would now have to face Leng Feng, who had regained his strength and was ready to fight back. Meanwhile, the rebel command had fallen under the control of Big Daddy, who had dispatched troops to sweep through the forest. With them gone, Leng Feng was able to pick off the factory guards one by one with his poisoned arrows. Within a short period, Leng Feng managed to rescue the captive workers who had been held for an entire day and night. Rachel and Pasha soon arrived with the stolen weapons, allowing He Zhongguo and Zhuo Yifan to join the fight alongside Leng Feng. Together, the four of them launched an attack that enabled them to gain control of the situation. They then called in a helicopter evacuation team from the United Nations. But as they waited, Big Daddy's troops returned from their sweep. Leng Feng, Rachel, and Pasha found themselves facing an even more brutal and violent battle than before. He Zhongguo led the workers to safety in the basement, while Leng Feng and his team captured a tank, boosting their morale as they repelled enemy tank attacks. However, their confidence was short-lived when Big Daddy himself drove a tank directly at them, and they had to set a trap to take it down. Despite their success, the enemy troops kept coming, and Big Daddy's attacks began to target the factory facilities. Leng Feng found himself trapped among the ruins, but he refused to give up. In a moment of inspiration, he decided to record the battle live, and his bravery moved everyone who watched, including the Naval Command Center and the captain himself. In response, several destructive missiles were launched as a last-ditch effort to resist the enemy's relentless attacks. As the battle raged on, Big Daddy's attacks continued to target Leng Feng, and one of his bullets hit Leng Feng's protective vest, confirming that Big Daddy was indeed the person Leng Feng had been seeking. With the revelation of their personal feud, the duel between the two mercenaries became even more intense. Finally, Leng Feng's group walked through a special zone that only displayed the Chinese flag, and they were granted passage to the border, where the ambassador and other officials were waiting for them. The moral lesson of the story is that taking matters into your own hands can have unforeseen consequences, and it's important to consider the potential outcomes before making any decisions.